Hulkenberg and Magnussen to reunite at Haas. Nico Hulkenberg is now in the lead for the position of succeeding Mick Schumacher as the driver for Haas next season. Will Kevin Magnussen be happy to have Hulkenberg as his teammate? Are the two Formula One drivers willing to put their previous disagreement to rest and move on? Do you want to find out? Then stay tuned. If Haas decides to replace Mick, they are planning to get a driver with more experience, and Nico Hulkenberg, who has competed in over 180 races in his career, is about as experienced as it gets. Nico Hulkenberg last raced full-time in F1 with Renault in 2019. However, since then, he has made a few substitute outings for Racing Point and Aston Martin as a COVID-19 stand-in. Hulkenberg has a positive working connection with Günther Steiner, the team principal of Haas, and is regarded as an experienced and reliable driver for a squad that intends to climb the competitive order in the upcoming season. Günther Steiner once stated that the American team is not interested in hiring inexperienced drivers for the 2023 season. Therefore, it should not come as a surprise that Nico Hulkenberg is a great option, given his years of expertise and consistent performance. As it becomes more likely that Daniel Ricciardo will sit out the 2023 season, Haas's real alternatives appear to have been narrowed down to three: keeping Mick Schumacher or replacing him with either Hulkenberg or Antonio Giovinazzi. The issue at hand, though, is whether or not Hulkenberg and the other driver for Haas, Kevin Magnussen, will be able to work together effectively as a team. If Hulkenberg and Kevin Magnussen were to be paired together, it would bring to mind the memorable argument that they had at the Hungarian Grand Prix in 2017. Let's talk about what happened between the two drivers. After the Hungarian Grand Prix race in 2017, Hulkenberg approached Magnussen and called him once again the most unsporting driver. Magnussen, who was never one to avoid confrontation, responded by saying, "Suck my balls, honey." After the incident, Hulkenberg said, "I congratulated him for being the most unsporting driver of the whole grid once again. When it comes to racing, he's just nasty. Hard defending is fine, but when he does this, it's just ruthless and sending people into the wall. We had really nice words. He said, 'Suck my balls.' That was his return, so it's quite interesting with him." What caused the confrontation between these two drivers? The contentious on-track collision that sparked the conflict occurred when Hulkenberg was forced wide as he attempted to pass Magnussen at turn 2 of the Hungaroring. Earlier, Hulkenberg was involved in a collision with GROSJEAN, Magnussen's teammate on the Haas F1 squad. The Frenchman was on the receiving end of a forceful drive from the Renault. Upon being told that the stewards had deemed the move unworthy of sanction, Magnussen warned over team radio that it would be a dirty race. Steiner, who was already displeased with Hulkenberg for his collision with GROSJEAN, staunchly backed Magnussen despite the stewards concluding that the Dane was at fault for the incident. Magnussen was demoted from 11th to 13th place after the race stewards at the Hungaroring found him guilty of an illegal block and added 2 penalty points to his license as a result. This brought him to within 5 points of being banned from a race. An irate Steiner suggested that Hulkenberg had made an effort to have the punishment enhanced. He said, "Nico went to the stewards to ask for a harsher penalty for Kevin, which I think is childish and immature. I'm almost speechless. I respect Nico as a driver and a human being, but what he did there, you don't ask for a more severe penalty for somebody." The Haas boss added, "He is a bully. He got away with it a long time, and maybe it's now time that somebody stands up to him. He's a good driver. He doesn't need to be like this." After everything was said and done, it turned out to be a lot of fuss over nothing, as Magnussen finished in 13th place while Hulkenberg classified 17th. 5 years later, the two, who are now both parents, have put the past behind them and made it up. Both drivers returned to the track this season, with Magnussen having a full-time ride with Haas, while Nico Hulkenberg filled in for Sebastian Vettel at Aston Martin. That served as a springboard for their first talk of a cordial kind in many years. Hulkenberg said, "I actually greeted him with, 'Suck my balls, honey.' That's my exact words to him. And we actually hadn't, it's not like I dislike Kevin, but after that happened in Budapest, we haven't really spoken a word since. Even before that, we've never really spoken to each other. I thought it was about time, because I don't dislike him. I just thought that incident on the track was a little bit harsh. As racing drivers, you do tend to disagree every now and then, but I thought it was quite funny to greet him with the 'Suck my balls, honey.' He quite liked it." What was Magnussen's response? Magnussen appreciated the icebreaker. He said, I mean, it's not something that's been bothering me too much, he said. But yeah, it's always nice. I mean, we never spoke about that thing. The funny thing is, with Nico, it's not the only thing that I've tried, which was kind of like this. My final word is simply that my respect for Nico is great, and I have nothing against him personally. I don't know him as a person, but I haven't heard anyone speak badly about him. That's it. Magnussen has acknowledged that he does not have any impact on the team's final decision. Nonetheless, it looks like he is more than eager to work with Nico Hulkenberg in the next year. But does Haas only have Hulkenberg in its arsenal as a potential replacement for Mick Schumacher at Haas? Certainly not. Antonio Giovinazzi, who competed for the team in the first free practice session that was held at Monza over the weekend, has been near the top of the list for some time. He's the favored choice of engine partner Ferrari, although Steiner says that the Italian marque has no say in the matter and can only offer suggestions. Giovinazzi did have a nice performance in the first practice session at Monza after having warmed up by driving the Ferrari from the previous year at Fiorano a few days earlier. Despite making a mistake on his fastest lap, he finished the session only 0.3 seconds behind the regular driver Kevin Magnussen. Giovinazzi will have another FP1 run in Aston. However, Steiner continues to downplay the significance of his sessions, confirming that they were agreed upon as a favor to Ferrari team boss Mattia Binotto, who wanted his reserve to get some mileage. This is what Steiner said of Giovinazzi. People think too deep into it. It was more that Ferrari asked us to run their reserve driver. It was not, now we need to test him and take a conclusion out of this. Also, Haas reserve Pietro Fittipaldi is still a candidate for the 2023 seat, and some sources indicate that he might be tied to a sponsorship agreement. The team has not yet used either of its rookie FP1 sessions, and the Brazilian, who started the final two races of the 2020 season, remains qualified to do them. Of everyone on the potential list, Hulkenberg appears to be the team's current pick to replace Mick. According to reports, Hulkenberg is also considered a contender for the open driver's seat at Alpine. For the seat at Alpine, Pierre Gasly appeared to be leading the way, but the other key part of the deal involved the American driver Colton Herta obtaining a super license so that he could replace the Frenchman in AlphaTauri, which does not appear likely to go through. As a result, Gasly's attempt has been thwarted. During the Italian Grand Prix weekend, F2 racer and Alpine Academy driver Jack Doohan, the son of MotoGP icon Mick Doohan, also emerged as a prominent candidate. With Alpine losing Academy drivers Oscar Piastri to McLaren and Zhou Guanyu to Alfa Romeo over the last few years, it is believed the team is keen to make sure it does not make the same mistake with Doohan. However, some people believe that he needs another season of F2 under his belt before making the step up. What are your thoughts on the possibility of Magnussen and Hulkenberg working together at Haas? Let us know in the comments section below. That will be all for today's video. Thanks for staying tuned. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you always get to watch more amazing videos just like this. See you in the next video. Bye!